Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Aurora coin was created by Iceland, and I was all excited about it. And I thought, oh, great! Finally, a government's going to do this same kind of thing and create a currency. And then they made it only available in Icelandic money, and I thought, oh, that is ridiculous. Bitcoin is global. What, are you going to only trade in Iceland? It makes no sense. And so the same thing's happening. You know, China's going to try to create their own currency. It's still the renminbi. It's still subject to political whims of their leaders.
And here's the big one, Tim. They could always make more of it. It's not limited like Bitcoin to 21 million. That's like, it's the same thing as printed money, other than via blockchain, they could track you more on your transactions.
And they can and they can devalue it at the brush of a pen. They can just say, oh, we're just going to print twice as many. All of a sudden, your currency, your renminbi crypto is worth half. And it's just because some central government decided to do it. And that's why people are distinguishing between decentralized currencies like Bitcoin.
Yes.
And centralized currencies that are tied to governments. Now, I think the smart governments are going to, like Japan did, they're going to make Bitcoin a national currency. And that way they can start moving toward allowing businesses to operate completely in Bitcoin and to tax people completely in Bitcoin. And that, I think, turns out to be a way for the government to keep going, but get into the future, because the ones that are getting control, becoming control freaks, and trying to trap people in their currency are really missing the whole point. The whole point is there is now a decentralized, open, global currency. It is for everyone, and everyone can use it. And actually, there are several. It's not just Bitcoin, but there are others that are also decentralized. Some are centralized, so you got to keep an eye on that.
I mean, is there some risk?
The issue that the U.S. government had with Facebook is that Libra was going to be centralized, and that the U.S. government is centralized. Those are centralized currencies, and so, I think our Fed has a new role. Our Fed should be starting to think, how do we incorporate a Bitcoin into our economic system? And the IRS needs to figure out, instead of just the idea of taxing Bitcoin as an asset, it slows.
Which they do now.
Right. Yeah. It slows down the movement.
For sure.
They should be thinking in terms of either you tax a transaction or you tax, like 0.0001% of a transaction, or you think in terms of just paralleling the existing tax system and allowing businesses to run completely in Bitcoin, and then just tax them in Bitcoin, so that you aren't taking, like, if I do that today, I have to triple my accounting costs. I have to go back and forth from fiat to Bitcoin to fiat to Bitcoin to fiat to Bitcoin. I think the best governments are going to make sure that people can operate an entire business in Bitcoin. And they are going to be the big beneficiaries of this huge growth in economic value. I mean, it's going to be more than what happened when the internet came in. When the internet showed up, our government, the US government, was thinking of how they were going to tax it and regulate it and all that. And they stayed hands off, and it became enormous and a great success for the US government. I think people should look at Bitcoin the same way. This is going to be enormous in industries that are even bigger than the ones that were affected by the internet. Internet affected communications and information and gaming, entertainment, media. Bitcoin is going to affect banking, commerce, finance, insurance, real estate, government. These are huge industries. So the government who gets it right and attracts all those Bitcoin entrepreneurs and all that Bitcoin money are going to be huge beneficiaries. And those that go back to tribalism and do what you talked about, which was to create their own coin tied to their own dollar or their own peso or their own naira, they're going to be lost. They're going to lose 10 years, 20 years of economic progress. It's already happened where China said Bitcoin was illegal and Japan made Bitcoin a national currency. There was a huge brain drain out of China and into Japan and other countries that were more open. And huge economic value left China because of that. I know Binance left.
Yes.
And so when governments do that at their own peril, governments really need to realize they are in competition for us. Look, I don't even know where you are. You don't know where I am. We could be anywhere and we can be doing business and doing all sorts of things and trading back and forth. And so governments really have to realize that they want to attract people to their government, whether it's even like Estonia, you can have governance outside. And you mentioned you're a libertarian. It's interesting. I'm close in that way. I look and I say the governance is like all industries. The governments of the world have to compete for their customers, for their constituents.
Absolutely.
And if you're China and you close something down and you lose brains and money as a result of it, you've made a huge mistake. You need to start thinking, how do I attract people to my government? I mean, California is doing it very wrong. They're
Look at the
saying
taxes.
how we're going to raise taxes. We provide horrible service, and we're going to try to trap you into our country, into our state, and people don't respond well to that. They're trying to say, oh, there's an exit tax or a this or that. They're trying to trap people so that they don't leave, but good people are going to leave.